Hamlet Broken Down, Act 1, Scene 2, lines 17 to 41. Now we come to talk of young Fortinbras. The king says to the court, "Now follows that you know, or should be informed, that young Fortinbras hath pestered us with a message, importing or concerning the land that his father lost to Denmark." And here the king mentions that these lands were lost with all correct legal procedures, all bonds of law. These lands were lost, or Denmark gained them, absolutely legitimately, lawfully. So here we are pushing young Fortinbras aside as having no claim to these lands or possible action ensuing to reclaim these lands. They were lost fair and square. Nothing he can do about it now. Hence the use of the word pester to describe his pointless attempt to contact Denmark about these lost lands. And the king quickly throws off talk of him. So much for him. And because he has absolutely no right to bitch about the lands his father lost to Denmark, we see that the king earlier in the speech guessed only at his motivation. First, that maybe young Fortinbras just held a weak supposal of our worth, or that young Fortinbras has a low opinion of Denmark in thinking he can pick a fight with them over this. Or the king also suggests that because of the recent death of the king of Denmark, the state of Denmark is out of sorts, that young Fortinbras thinks that the state of Denmark is just not in a position of strength and just disjointed. The text reads, "Or thinking by our late dear brother's death our state to be disjoint and out of frame." And lastly, his motivation for pestering Denmark is probably out of just sheer fantasy, a fantasy that young Fortinbras holds of his own elevated position. The text reads that these two foresaid reasons of motivation are colleagued with the dream of his advantage. So he's just dreaming. This is common speech to say that someone is just dreaming when they attempt something so far out of reach, so impossible. And so the king now addresses the court to his attempt to rein young Fortinbras in that he has a letter to be sent that will contact the uncle of young Fortinbras, the king of Norway, who is old and feeble, and in that state, he knows nothing about his nephew's march on to Denmark, which is made up of his subjects. Does the king of Denmark know that his subjects are being used in this ridiculous pursuit by his nephew? We've got to inform the king of what's going on. So the king sends 2 men out to deliver the letter to the king of Norway and instructs these men to only speak of what is entailed in the letter. The text reads, "Giving to you no further personal power to business or to talk with the king of Norway more than the scope of these dilated articles allow. Dilated meaning that which the letter opens up or expands to discussion, and no more. And then farewell to these men, these messengers, and the king quickly dismisses them without any further ado and desires a swift departure from them. And the text reads, let your haste commend your duty.